And the disadvantage, I would say, is that still in today's world, when you're talking about evaluating an organization or its performance, you're still very much talking about evaluating only on financial performance, which is very often a very short-term kind of an evaluation. You look at quarterly results. I mean, you want to study the organization, how it's performing, and you take a slice every quarter, and then you judge that this organization is doing well or not. But we feel that this is too narrow a way of looking at it. You must have a long-term view. And when you're talking about, I mentioned the issue about assets and capital. Suppose an organization has to invest in technologies and methodologies which will end up using more optimum usage of natural resources. That comes at an investment. It costs money. The results may not be today. The results will be only sometime much later than 1 quarter. But our assessment systems today are still on the basis of a quarterly financial performance. So it is definitely necessary that we evaluate also on a 3-dimensional basis, where we talk about looking at an organization's social performance. We look at an organization's economic performance, not the financial performance per se, and of course the environmental performance. Internationally, and I think Aditi was here with you all a couple of days back, and she shared the whole methodology of reporting as per the GRI protocol. We also agreed that this has become the most accepted means of evaluating a triple bottom line performance. For us, another important aspect of GRI reporting has been that it has allowed us as an organization to do introspection, the same way that we introspect as an individual. I mean, as whether we are doing right, whether it's the right path we are doing, is there some corrective mechanisms that we have to take. We believe that this GRI format, the protocol, is an excellent methodology or excellent format for organizational introspection. We, in fact, I'll give you one example from ITC itself. We found that we were doing factories, we were designing new factories without providing for toilets for women, because the thinking was that our workmen would only be men, and this was the accepted thinking, this was the way it had already been done. But when we looked at diversity issues, and we said that why should a factory completely exclude the possibility of employing women, and which is really speaking 50% of the workforce. And that allowed us to kind of revisit the entire design, and we started changing things so that even if we are not engaging women now, and I'm talking about women in the shop floor, I'm not talking about women in managerial positions. So we have redesigned and made provisions that we do have adequate facilities for women in the shop floor too. It, like any other tool, it provides results only if it is done sincerely and diligently. And the same audit scrutiny that you use for your financial reporting is also employed in this kind of reporting. See, this aspect needs to be understood, that we are talking about voluntary reporting. It is not reporting which is required by, there's no statutory requirement that you have to report on these issues. We have chosen to report. But since we are reporting, it is necessary that whatever we say is factual. Because it needs to be factual, an organization has to build in many systems to ensure that the data which is being picked up from across the length and breadth of the country is correct. Because we cannot afford to report something which is incorrect. And our hope is that maybe sometime down the line, our annual financial report and the sustainability report will become one document. What it means again operationally is that there is a constant pressure that, let's say last year you have reported say 97% marks or whatever, I'm just giving a figure. This year if you go down to 94, there are obviously questions going to be asked, why is it 94? Why hasn't improved upon? So this entire reporting exercise becomes a driver for pushing up performance. And for us that has again been a very good learning, a very good experience. And I'm telling you all this because subsequently I'll be sharing more on our performance front. But this performance is driven by these facts. the fact that the data, whatever we put in upfront, is data which is authenticated, verified by third party, and secondly, that this data which we are reporting itself drives performance. And of course, this is an important part, that it allows you to do all this without putting any undue pressure, and you decide how fast you want to go, how well you want to do in all these areas of social, environmental, economic of course is driven by different issues, but it allows you to grow at your own pace. Like I said, a very, very important part, that reporting drives performance. It is not performance which is being reported. I also share with you a core ITC belief that it is possible to synergize the twin goals of creation of societal and environmental capital and shareholder value enhancement. This is a core belief. I mean, for us, we really believe that, when you're talking about creating shareholder value, increasing the value for shareholders, to making sure that your shareholder prices keep on going up and up, it is possible to integrate this and creation of societal and environmental capital by using innovative strategies. And what I will be sharing with you today, this evening, is aspects of that. Yeah. So when we look at this issue of environmental stress, further accentuated by climate change aspects, we decided that first we identify and evaluate climate change risk for each of our businesses. This has been done for our tobacco business, it has been done for our food business, it has been done for our hotel business. So you clearly understand what are the risks, what are the opportunities that you have for each of these businesses. Then we look at reducing the environmental impact of all our processes, products and services, and work towards creating a positive environmental footprint. Now what I mean by creation of a positive environmental footprint is, say you're talking about this whole carbon emissions. Most of you would be familiar about the phenomenon of global warming and the carbon emissions which are happening. So when we talk about a positive environmental footprint, we talk about, instead of reducing our carbon emissions, can we capture the carbon emissions and use that as an opportunity which will, give us leveraging possibilities. Adapting a low carbon growth path through reduction in specific energy consumption. Now specific energy consumption is the energy that you would use for manufacturing each unit of product. So whether it's a cigarette, whether it's a hotel room, whether it's a shirt that you're making, but the energy that goes for each unit of product is what we define as specific energy. So we try to constantly see that the specific energy constantly tries to reduce, and we benchmark it with the best internationally. The second thing that we do is we enhance the usage of renewable energy. Typically energy would be sourced from fossil fuels, which is the main contributor to global warming, but the focus which we try to arrive at is get a greater share of the pie from renewable sources. And though today, if you look at nationally, I think we are doing around 5% of our entire country's energy requirements is coming from renewable sources. The government of India had been trying very long to make that as a policy, to make it 10%. In ITC, what we are doing is 31%. That our entire energy requirement, if you look at, 31% is coming from renewable sources, and our target is that within the next 5 years, we make it 50%. You moved, okay. The same focus for water, that we look at reducing the specific water consumption, augmenting rainwater harvesting, that whatever rainwater falls on your premises, you harvest it, and also through integrated wastewater management programs, which is by, these are activities that you do outside the factory in the watershed areas, where you create these water retention structures. I will share details with you. The same approach for waste, where we look at minimizing the waste generation for each output, maximize reuse and recycling, and then where possible, use waste from outside, that is external consumer waste, as a raw material. And could you go back, please? The last is creating sustainable livelihoods and promoting sustainable agricultural practices. This is again an important part of our strategy, because we feel that we really need to create livelihood alternatives for the people who we are talking about at 24, 48, 76% of the population below the poverty line. This gives you a map of ITC, the entire energy consumption. The white one is what we consume from fossil fuels, that is fuels such as coal, furnace oil. The blue is what we purchase from the grid, which is typically electricity that we buy. And the one that is in green is the 31% which we generate internally from renewable sources. I am sharing here with you the specific energy consumption for our largest business unit, which within ITC consumes around 75% of our total energy. And what this graph does is it shows you that for each ton of paper produced, what is the energy which is consumed. And if you see from 0405, there has been a steady fall to 0607. Then from 07 onwards it has gone up. But the reason it has gone up is because we have started substituting pulp which we used to import with pulp which we produce ourselves. And this is again the important part of measuring and monitoring. It's not that figures won't go up, but you know why it is going up. There is an explanation for it which allows you to control. Or otherwise it is, you really wouldn't know what is happening in. And I gave you how big and how diverse ITC is. So it would be very difficult to understand from one point of view what is happening across the country. But when you really start studying and understanding what this data means, is when you can drive performance. This 32.38.3 adds the significant capacity addition for new pulp generation within our premises, and 38.3 after that it has started stabilizing to 37.4 and coming down. But the important point here that these specific energy consumption figures are better than the international best. That they really, we are very proud to say that these are world-class specific energy consumption figures, and we strive to keep on improving upon them. Please. This graph again plots what we have done towards carbon sequestration, that is carbon emission that we do, sequestration which we do by virtue of our plantation activities. If you look at our emissions, that is the dark blue curve, it has almost a gentle curve, I would say, despite productions having gone up almost 3 times since 2003-04. Our production volumes have almost gone up 3 times. Our emission has marginally gone up. But if you look at the carbon sequester, which is the purple curve, it has shot up by almost, now we are doing almost 260% of our emissions is being captured. So suppose we are because of our operations we are emitting 100 tons of carbon, we are actually capturing 300 tons of carbon dioxide every year.